You're playing a game, the world is beautiful, and so is the music, but 10 minutes in, you feel that familiar, restless itch. You minimize the window, you open a tab, you start playing a background video you aren't really watching, but it's just there to fill the silence. You think you're multitasking efficiently, but you're distracting yourself from the very experience you sat down to enjoy. We've been conditioned to feel that undivided attention means not min-maxing your time, but what if the quiet moments in games are one of the most valuable tools you have for changing your life? What if your favorite game wasn't just a way to escape, but the perfect environment to prime yourself and finally get into the things you've been putting off? The internet sells us the myth of the Big Bang moment, a grand lightning bolt epiphany that demands a perfect Zen monk mode state to take advantage of. We chase complex frameworks to bridge the gap between theory and reality, usually ending up more confused than when we began. Real change, however, isn't a one-time cinematic event. It doesn't require a secret skeleton key or over-the-top execution. It's simply the result of small, almost invisible adjustments to our daily routines cultivated over time. By the end of this video, you'll see two ways how a game can directly rewire and reward your motivation and shift your mindset, all without paying for a guru course with a price tag ending in a 7.
A heavily discounted product and the price ends in a 7. Yes!
And for me, it started with a single game, Skyrim. My relationship with Skyrim changed when I stopped treating it like a checklist of things to blast through. My game became a slow burn adventure centered on taking in the scenery and the amazing atmosphere. I stopped fast traveling, quit using horses because they messed with the game's scale, removed map markers, including that of my own, and refrained from using the pastime mechanic in any shape or form. I also installed survival mods that made the nights deadly cold. This forced me to slow down and appreciate the masterwork that Skyrim is. Suddenly, you find time to watch the starry sky while listening to the crackle of fire. I found myself setting up camp in a blizzard, waiting for the sun to rise, and spending entire sessions traversing the map in every direction. On these long, quiet treks through the tundra, the game provides just enough visual stimulation to keep the hands busy, but leaves enough mental space for my thoughts to wander without a rhyme or a reason, as if I were on an actual hike through real mountain passes. During these long trips from Riften to Solitude, through southern slopes and winding roads between them, I started noticing huge pockets of emptiness for the taking. At first, I felt an urge to fill these numerous gaps with the usual stuff, as we've been conditioned to fill every quiet moment with content in some shape or form. Second screening has become a term in our dictionaries for a reason, so much so that Netflix designs shows around it. The behavior has infected gaming, leading us to essentially play loud background chatter for a video stream alongside an experience that is supposed to be engaging on its own. It's not that we launch a game to meditate or to quiet down after all, at least most of the time, but I realized I was choosing the wrong things as a background for my overly silent wanderings through Skyrim's peaks and valleys. I was defaulting to hollow background noise. I first tried YouTube, but it was clearly the wrong medium, regardless of how productive the videos were. If you listen to 5 different creators touching on 5 different subjects in a single hour, it is extremely hard to make any of them stick. The ideas were simply competing for space in my head in a short amount of time, and they didn't have time to click into place in this circumstance. Plus, the platform is designed for engagement, especially since YouTubers are on an eternal mission to improve their analytics by captivating audiences through audio and video. The simple truth is that if you watch the screen, you aren't playing, and vice versa. If you just listen, you might miss the visual context that might have helped the idea land. You're essentially getting the half-intended value or less. I needed depth, not an unending playlist of half-consumed videos that in that moment were lost on me. Perhaps it just wasn't the best time for them. I needed something that matched the real-life application. Just as it makes sense to listen to a book while taking a walk, it makes zero sense to try to watch a screen while you're on the move, on a hike surrounded by lush nature, or God forbid, while driving a car. Then a memory surfaced. Years ago I had an odd job, where I worked a few nights as a campkeeper. To survive the second night's mind-numbing boredom, I randomly loaded an audiobook of Bram Stoker's Dracula onto an old MP3 player, and boy, what a night that was. I could have sworn that the shadows came to life to stalk me. That overall experience came back to me while trekking through Skyrim, but with a small twist. I realized my in-game travels were the perfect vessel for something that could actually slowly rewire my brain. This this time, I didn't just want a story, as I already was inside one, as the reluctant Dovahkiin, avoiding the main quest like the plague. I wanted something impactful. I loaded up Gary Keller's The One Thing, a book I had in my sights for some time, but I didn't have the time or energy to get to. At the time, I did not realize that the game's pace essentially lowered the barrier to entry to it, and as I set off towards solitude, I became the Dragonborn on a journey for self-betterment. It was the trek to remember. Audiobooks work so damn well when paired with slow games because they don't blitz you with multiple ideas, and inherently they cannot draw you away from the zone with visuals. They take one theme and hammer it home from every angle to drive the point as deep as possible. You might compare listening to audiobooks to carefully crafting a sword, while listening to a 10-minute essay is more akin to just buying one. You will certainly appreciate and be more proud of the one that took your sweat, time and skill. Audiobooks are like the mastercrafted katanas forged over months, while a video can be the good old reliable longsword supplied to an army before a looming war. Both get the job done, but given the context, only one is a masterpiece worth a fortune. You might assume splitting attention leads to failure, but I found the opposite. The game in the playstyle I described provides just enough challenge to keep me in the zone, but it doesn't demand the high-speed intensity that can come with Skyrim out of the box. I began leveraging those seemingly mundane moments, the long treks, inventory sorting, and the quiet explorations of every nook and cranny to create mind-sharpening sessions. While it's not passive learning, it's certainly more akin to a form of steady reshaping of one's mind as a whole, which is a process that takes time. And it just so happens that this time is at our disposal when playing slower-paced solitaire games. In this way, the game acts as a patient trainer and a companion, holding your attention in one place, thus increasing the odds that the single overarching theme of the book actually lands. It's teaching the mind to entertain ideas pouring from it that otherwise could have been hard to get to on their own. I found that if I couldn't sit still and just listen to a book, the game could keep me anchored, and that is something. That is a start and a door opener at that. Even if I lost a small detail of the book due to a momentary loss of focus, it's still a huge win that's leagues ahead of the fragmented, high stimulus noise I was trying to consume before. Skyrim was the platform and the audiobooks were the catalyst, but the habit itself is universal. The best part is that this isn't exclusive to Skyrim, as it's a platform that is interchangeable. You can apply the catalyst to any game that allows for a bit of silence and the occasional slowness to just exist, ponder and marvel at the world before you. Think games like Elden Ring, Red Dead Redemption, the original Baldur's Gate trilogy, Diablo 2, Albion Online, or even GTA if you're fond of cruising for hours. It's about taking those moments of downtime or going on autopilot and turning them into the foundation for your own growth. The true reward is a double-layered form of accomplishment. First one is straightforward. When I reach my destination in-game, I've also most likely finished a chapter or a few. Because I'm traversing a landscape while listening, the information feels connected to the world I'm exploring. Sometimes I travel through Skyrim and have a recollection of a thought I heard in a book, which resurfaces through a specific place or a scene. The second one is that this habit quickly bled into my real life. I started looking for the in-between moments of my days, the commutes, the chores, the waits, and the walks to the grocery shop to continue the learning I left in the other worlds of my games. Because of that, I stopped viewing my gaming sessions as a way to kill time and started seeing them as my own private open world growth time. And so, I've delivered what I promised in the beginning, and there's nothing mysterious about it. A game can be more than a simple escape. It can be an ongoing reward for learning, and also, it can be a gateway to building better habits. By pairing the slow, reflective pace of exploration with the wisdom of a great book, you can turn leisure into leisure and growth at once, at little to no cost. You stop just killing time and start building a better version of yourself, 1 mile and 1 chapter at a time. Thanks for listening, subscribe, have a good one, and see you around.